Nityanandam, this is Manitya Swatantira Priyananda, and today I want to talk to you about the awakening of my Kundalini Shakti. So the first time I went to IA in June 2016, I had no knowledge about the Vedic tradition. I had never heard of the words Kundalini Awakening, Kundalini energy. And the one thing that I asked Swamiji, I think it was maybe the first, second, or third day of the program, I asked him I wanted to feel powerful, inner power, and I wanted to be so unshakable inside that nothing could get to me. Because prior to IA, I was the type of person who got very easily emotionally agitated. If, for example, if a person got angry in front of me, I wouldn't be able to stay in a powerful space. I would always end up in powerlessness, and tears would come up, and I wouldn't be able to express what I would want to express. And so that was my request to Swamiji. And I think it was either the same afternoon or the day after. So Swamiji set us up in a mandala, which is basically a reproduction of the neurological circuits inside of our brains, and which allow the energy to flow in such a harmonious and powerful way, to activate really like every single part of our body, and to facilitate the awakening of the Kundalini energy. And so basically the process started, and all of a sudden I started feeling this rush of energy going through my body, and it was something that I had never felt before. And I became so powerful inside that my body started shaking. My fists were clenching like this, my jaw was clenched as well, and it's like I inside of myself, it's like I reached another space. So almost like I wasn't really, like aware of the surroundings. I had my eyes closed, but I mean, I kind of forgot like the process that we were doing. And what I compare it to, for those who know Dragon Ball, so this is how I would describe what happened to me. Like in Dragon Ball, when they transform into Super Saiyans and then their hair changes color, and then they could just like move the arm forward and like create an explosion. So that's exactly what it felt like for me. And I was so convinced that if I put like my hand forward, that something was gonna move, like that I was gonna be able to move matter basically. And I just remember like I was so engaged into the process that even when it ended, my body couldn't get back to normal, so to speak, and I had to stay on the ground for at least like a good 15 minutes for the body to really kind of integrate all the energy that was happening inside of it. And so basically I had no idea what was happening to me, but there was no fear whatsoever, because the feeling was such like raw power, and it was at the same time it was so exciting and such a blissful feeling that there was no fear at all inside of me. And I remember that when I finally got up, I felt like my feet were so deeply rooted into the ground, and that my body had just like reached another level of power. I was basically not the same being, like radiating a totally different energy. And so this person who was a volunteer in the hall came to see me, and he asked me if I was okay, and I said yeah, but like what was that? And so he's the one who told me like, you just experienced the Kundalini Awakening. And I was blown away. I mean, it's pretty much the most incredible feeling that I've ever felt in my whole life. And Swamiji made it happen in like 5 minutes, basically, So anything you ask him with a sincere intention, and if you carry the space, believing that it can happen, I mean, he can give you that experience in like the blink of an eye, pretty much. And so when I got back home after that first IA, we were doing some two-way workshops and meditations, and my body would always shaking, like my spine would vibrate, and the only thing is that I felt like the energy was uncontrollable. It's like I felt like the energy was too much to be contained by my body, and it's like I didn't know how to channel it. So I was all over the place. Like sometimes I remember during meditations, like my arms would move like in all different directions, and I knew that that energy wanted to go somewhere, but it's like I was stuck. Like I couldn't do it by myself. I couldn't channel it by myself. And so I went to a second IA in December, and this is when, I mean, the Kundalini energy in me reached the next level, as Swamiji did what's called an unclutching process. So again, like sitting in the mandala, and unclutching is basically letting go of anything that's happening inside of you, like your identity, your thoughts, your emotions. Like you just drop everything. And so I had no expectations. I mean, I had no idea about what was gonna happen, and I was sitting in like the yogi position, right? So there was no way that my body that I could use my feet to like jump into the air or anything like that. And the way it happened is that all of a sudden I felt like the energy, like the heaviness in my legs was going away. So my legs were becoming so light, like defying the force of gravity pretty much. And that energy would not stop there, like it would just, go up in my whole being. So the weight of my legs was lifted, then my spine like became so straight, my head also, without me controlling it, I mean my head would just like go up like that, and all of a sudden my body, actually the energy was so strong inside of me that my body actually started jumping by itself, like off the ground by itself, and like it would move around, like sometimes I would turn like in a circle. So that's it, like my body started lifting off the ground. And I would say that the most amazing part of that experience is what actually was happening inside of me, because there was no thoughts. It's like for that moment when the being was being lifted off the ground, like wanting to reach like the ultimate, there were no thoughts. So there was such a deep feeling of calmness and bliss inside my body, and I just wanted more and more and more of it. So as the program went on, I mean, it happened so many times, right? And it's still happening now from time to time. But so I mean, my Kundalini Shakti has been fully awakened, and it's the most intense experience I've had so far. And the thing is, when you're on that energy, when you're connected to that energy, I mean, everything else disappears, like the tiredness you feel, the boredom you feel with life. Anything else becomes redundant. And so I'm, like imagining what it would be like to always, like every second of your life, living in that kind of, space. I mean, for me, that's the ultimate. And I wish for everybody to experience it, because it really opens up a whole new dimension to life. And I mean, I've had so many experiences since I did my first IA, and all I wish is for everybody to be able to experience it as well, and receive Swamiji's darshan, and for Swamiji to open everybody's Kundalini Shaktis and third eye. So again, I mean, if what I'm talking to you is making you, want more information, or if, like it brings excitement into your being, you can write to me below, and I'll help you anytime.